pity you already went through this. You look at it and say, wow, what a bright spot. All right, so we are towards the bottom of the upper section on page AyinBase 3. 5 lines from the bottom. The line begins at makif the Chaya. The nefesh was forced into Odom, into the nostrils. The principle that was forced means that its presence is not based and it's not due to the koiches, the means by which the nefesh communicates, so to speak, and relates. Its presence is that it's essential presence. It is present. And that can only happen because it was forced, because this is totally unnatural for the nefesh. There is no affinity between the nefesh and the guf. There is no commonality. It was placed there. And it was placed there in the guf, which means now it has to communicate with the guf. And this is why there is the full regimen, so to speak, of all the koiches hanefesh, starting with the koiches pnimim, with the functioning koiches of sechel and middot, and then reaching up to koiches makifim of Chaya and yechidah. So we didn't discuss the distinction, maybe we should a little bit, the effect of the makifim, Chaya and yechidah. So far we discussed the effect of the makifim, Chaya. And the effect is that this causes an excessive growth, expansion of the koiches hanefesh, of the sechel and middot. This is referred to as hatzlocha, special success in learning. Learning is a process based is a acquisition based on effort. There's no hatzlocha, essentially and conceptually, but there is such thing as hatzlocha. Hatzlocha in limud, kind of things relate to him, and he broadens out. His insight broadens out all the time. And as he understands one thing, he understands a broad spectrum that relates to this one thing. So it grows in every direction. This is due to the makif. And this is called the makif, the Chaya. Meaning to say, is what Chaya means. It brings life to everything. So that even though he understands one specific thing, but he immediately sees the broader spectrum of where that comes from, what its deeper reality is. We gave a physical example on this, illustration of this concept. That when a person, the koyach halicha, the koyach of walking, koyach halicha means that he has a koyach to transposition himself from one place to the other. In this transpositioning, he surmises the place where he wants to be, where he's going to. And it is all within the realm of functioning koyach. I'm going to get there by walking, by doing such and such. This is the koyches, the functioning koyches. Then there is the effect of the makif, that the sense is that actually there is an infinite expanse where this little space that I'm covering exists. He's not limited to the space that he is covering, but he senses that this is part of much of an infinite presence, really. He once explained something similar and perhaps even more germane, even more close to our experience. Pointed out, when a person walks, even though he's walking on a straight line, but in his mind, the experience of walking is not that he's walking on this straight line. He's walking on this straight line because he chooses to go here in that direction. But essentially, he's walking on the entire earth, on the entire reality. He's not supported by this line. An animal walks on the line, and that is all it is aware of. A human being is never limited to that. He has an expanded view. This is the makif, even though mitzad sechel, kochas hagluyim, so to speak, functioning kochas, he identifies where he wants to go and how he's going to get there. But then there is the makifim of the nefesh that lift that up and expand it to a much greater view. This is all due to the fact that makifim nefesh come also begili. And the reason that the makifim nefesh are nisgala is because the whole nefesh relates to the guf, the etzem. And therefore the makifim also come in scalpers.
Can I ask a question on something you said yesterday?
Yeah.
You mentioned yesterday that the functioning koichos themselves would not be able to relate to the guf. Or it was like the way you set up the class yesterday, but the etzem is fully. So we were talking yesterday. I didn't fully understand the point. In other words, is the etzem more able to relate to the guf than the functioning koichos, or is there another point that you were making there?
The etzem, relates to the guf, but it doesn't relate to the functioning element of the guf. It relates to the etzem of the guf, because the etzem is forced into the world, and this world is a godly creation, just like the etzem itself is. And wherever he is put, that's where he is. And he relates to the atzmius of that place. What does the etzem do ultimately when he finds himself in this world? This is what we said many times. To understand, the human being is not here in the world to partake of it. There's no way. He has no affinity. He is here to transform it in his own light, in his own image. So he's there, and this is what the answer is. He's there to transform, and this is why all the koiches begin to function in order to transform this new place that I'm into, that it should sense who is there, what this is there, what this is.
So if it was just the koichos, they would be relating to worldliness, whereas now the koichos are emanating from the etzem. They're an expression of the etzem but they also are relating to worldliness.
See, this is the important thing. Okay, if they were just the koiches, they would not be koiches. It would be guf. This is why I said this would be sechel on the instinctive level, rather than intellectual level. Will be the guf. I feel this. Oh, there is something there. That's also a nefesh reaction. The guf doesn't know anything, but it knows only what the guf tells him.
Now the koiches are representing a nefesh.
What I'm saying, not the nefesh is in the koiches. The koiches are representing the nefesh, and the koiches are messengers from the nefesh to live up, goof, come on, get on with it. This is the amazing thing. Always, years back I was wondering, and then until it dawned on me, I understood what's going on. The secular world is smart. And it's clear, of course, how can you deny, how can you dispute this? They're not fooling themselves, they're smart people. How come what they see, what we see, are so diametrically opposed? And we both see it clearly. What's the answer? There's pnimis echitzenius. They see things the way the goof sees it. They trust the goof, not the nefesh. The primary orientation is the physical world. They trust the body. They don't trust their nefesh. They consider nefesh, this is an imaginary thing. This is concrete, this is the real knowledge. And we have an exact opposite view. Literally an exact opposite view. This which the goof tells you, this is a lie. It doesn't even exist really on its own. If you really thought about it, you would say that the Beis is well, so it's a godly creation. It's present only because God supports it, gives it a presence. Okay, let's continue. As I said, we have 5 lines from the bottom, the wide lines, on page AyinBase 3. The line begins makif the Chaya. And similarly, ha'hagdolo habo mehamakif the yechidah. There's another level of hagdola, of growth, that is taking place, that is in effect on the koiches hagluyim, on the functioning koiches. This hagdola, makim, we explained the hagdola that is affected by makim the Chaya, and then there's hagdola habo mehamakif the yechidah. V'hu, and that is sheyiyeh loichayis v'tuf tam, that he, the person who is learning, should have a chayis, excitement, v'tuf tam, and a pleasant taste, meaning that he should actually taste it and feel the beauty. B'chol inyan, in everything that he learns. Yes, and mikfi atayich shebasog, beyond the tainuk that is inherent in hasaga. Hasaga is comprehension. The experience of hasaga, like in every koyach, there is an inherent tainuk. The underlying force underneath in each koyach is in tainuk. But that tainuk is limited to that koyach. This is the Tanakh Sheba the makif the yechidah imbues and brings forth a inner of tainuk that is beyond the Tanakh Sheba a broader tainuk, again, a tuftam, a sense of richness and beauty. V'zehu me'amakif the yechidah. This is the effect of the makif the yechidah. Shebechol inyan, where in every inyan, anything that he learns, anything that he experiences, yesh libazeh chayus rav, voine godel b'yoiser. He has great chayus, his great excitement, he's very much involved, and he lives with it. Voine godel b'yoiser, an extremely great oinek. This is the nefesh. This is purely nefesh. I want to correlate to something else we discussed, which is more tangible, which I think we can very readily understand, and then we will see be able to see how this oinig is literally a oinig coming from nefesh. This is not an oinig from the koiches, from the functioning koiches. And that is what we've been discussing lately, the earth. When we're walking on the earth, we're walking on a flat surface. A flat surface, by definition, carries with it the sense, the thought that there is an end to this flat surface. And I can reach the end. Okay, it's very far away, but there's an end to it. And that is how I relate to this function of walking. As a matter of fact, as we pointed out, when a person walks, he projects where he's walking to, the end of it. Because he's walking, in fact, on a flat surface orientation. Then when one realizes, and this is what took the world for thousands of years to discover and to recognize the significance, that no, you're not walking on a flat surface, and that this walk will never end. That whole concept, that whole design, like we said yesterday, that you can walk on a finite entity on the earth and there not be a possibility of falling off. This is a design that comes from a super worldly concept. The world doesn't possess that kind of concept. The world possesses the instinctive answer. If this is dangerous, I put a wall around it. I protect it, I protect against it. But to remove the possibility is not within world purview. This is something which comes from a different source than world. World will never think of it. As an aside, I want to point out an interesting thing that I always speak about. Talk about marriage. I talk to Hassani, whatever. As I explain that marriage is a godly invention. The human being in 1,000 years will never invent marriage, even though it's kind of a necessity. But it never invent the principle of marriage. It's outside of the worldly parameters. I don't know if you're familiar, but the Greeks, the great Greek philosophers, the real supreme yechidah, the Socrates, Plato, these were like the cream of the crop, the ruchnisikis. Do you know what their philosophy was? Women will live in their own society. There's not going to be individual marriage, and all children will be commonly owned, and every child will refer to every man as his father, because he will not know who his father is. And this was their projection of a beautiful society. Because indeed, the world does not provide for it. This is a higher moral principle. And this is Rebbe's blessing, and the Rebbe gave that blessing to us and to Goyim also. That's a part of this is one of the 7 mitzvot Menachem. So these are the effects. These are the things that we are experiencing on a daily basis, and we don't realize the effect, the supreme quality in this, and how this is outside of the world parameters. And this is the church. Yes, Chaya is godel, Ayin godel in whatever he does, in everything, in learning, in davening, in doing mitzvahs, in everything. David HaMelech al HaSholim. As David HaMelech, shehoya mi'adein atzmei, that he was me'adein atzmei. Me'adein atzmei simply means that he was giving himself pleasure, and pleasing himself. What is the pleasure about that David HaMelech was interested in? This was the experience of the yechidah, the makif the yechidah. And then as a result of that, and automatically there's a great increase in the oir ha-sechel. Again, I want to explain what that means in specificity. Sechel effectively has the process, the means by which it can be convincing. It says, this is how this happened, and this is what this stands for. But there is again a difference, just like we spoke about the earth, there's a difference between the sechel that convinces you that this is what happened, and the sechel that shows you that this is that the cause is what you're actually looking at. Not there is a cause and effect. But should the oir ha-sechel. Like we say all the time, a clock on the wall. So the sechel says that the clock was put up on the wall. It didn't materialize it automatically. And you also know at the sechel that a human being put it up. This is all the sechel aspect. The oir ha-sechel is alerting you to the fact, no, this is not a clock and this is not a wall, this is a human function. It's a living thing. This oir ha-sechel, this reality of the sechel, the reality to which the sechel alludes to, is mitzad ha'oidik. The sechel itself is not demanding it. As far as the sechel is concerned, as long as I have a question, I have an answer to the question, a satisfying answer, enough. But the oinig brings out a completely different perspective, sense of what it is that I'm serving. The oinig is sensed through the sechel, so that this is that the oinig is affecting the ribu in the oir ha-sechel. Calls there, this entire observation, this entire phenomenon of the koiches agluim and the koiches nefesh and the effect of the makif, the Chaya, makif the yechidah, hu ha-hiluch. This is all what's referred to as the hiluch, the walking, the movement. Haba bekoyach hatzelem, that comes bekoyach hatzelem, by the effect and the force of the sechel. This is the force of the sechel. What is the sechel? Shezehu helem etzem hanefesh. This is essentially the helem of the etzem hanefesh. The helem means the internal reality of the etzem hanefesh. Again, for those who are with it so far, what is the relationship there between Helem Etzma Nefesh and this Oinig? The principle of Etzma Nefesh, as opposed to all the koiches, including Oinig, certainly in sechel and middot and so forth, is that mitzad Etzma Nefesh there is exclusively an essential truth, an essential reality. There is no process, there are no combinations of things, there is no structure. So Etzma Nefesh, everything has to be beyond perfect. So Etzma Nefesh, there is no perfection that comes to a perfect structure is not Etzma Nefesh. Like we said many times, a human being builds a house. He builds a house by putting up one wall, a second wall, a third, a fourth wall, a floor and a ceiling, and he solidly connects them all, sets them all up perfectly. That's a perfect house. That's not a perfect house, but that's a Nefesh. So Etzma Nefesh is a house that the house is built complete to start with. Odom shein lebayis ein odom does not refer to the four walls. It refers to the wholeness of the bayis. This house is not built by human beings. This is Hashem given a bayis. Only Hashem. Hashem, when He builds a house, He builds. I said, human beings build monodimensional, one dimension at a time. Hashem builds fully in a full dimension, in a multidimensional entity, complete, at once. He doesn't put it together from pieces. That's the reality. This is what the nefesh relates to. Because this is the only thing that Etzma Nefesh relates to, this is why there is this giluyim from that Etzma Nefesh come in the form of oinig and rotz. And as a result of that, there's mitesiv ribu b'ira sechel. And this is the meaning helem of Etzma Nefesh. There is no expression in that. This is the internal reality of Etzma Nefesh. Shemachriach es ha-nefesh b'chol ha-giluyim ha'elu. And that helem forces the nefesh to come through with all these giluyim. What is the pshat? Is machriach the nefesh? Because the nefesh was placed into this precarious domain called the guf, and this guf is totally a strange housing for this helem etzma nefesh. So the nefesh begins to pump the guf with all kinds of koiches. Get up and walk, get up and run, get up and sing, get up and do. Come on, let me feel myself over here. So machriach es ha-nefesh b'chol ha-gilui. The gam, and then also.
It's the same way as the house demands that there be furniture and there be rooms.
There's a similarity. It's not exactly the very same thing, but there's a similarity to what you said. The point is that the nefesh is in the guf, and the guf is alive, but that's not enough. The guf has to be functioning as a living entity. And when it's functioning as a living entity, it's not enough that the guf is able to walk. He wants the guf to sense that the entire reality, the way the nefesh sees it. Helem etzem nefesh makif the nefesh b'chol hagiluyim, and that forces the nefesh to come forth with all the giluyim ha'elu. V'gam, and then also sheyiyu hagiluyim be'eifon sheyizchabru im haguf. The giluyim, this is the flip side, that the giluyim should be in a manner, shekana manner sheyizchabru im haguf, that the guf should be able to tolerate them, not overwhelm the guf. Because the nefesh was placed in the guf. This is, so to speak, its home. So yes, it transformed the guf into a nefesh, but it has to remain guf, otherwise the guf dissipates. It's not a participant. You lose your home. Okay, clearly this is a lot of food for thought, and hopefully we will eat this food with great zealousness, with great pleasure. Be'inyan ha'yischabros ha'neshomim ha'guf beruchnius. The yischabros ha'neshomim ha'guf is not only begashmis to enable the guf to function, but beruchnius is also inyan from yischabros ha'nefesh in the guf. Hu inyan hisgabrus ha'tzura al ha'choymer. This is in general the principle of the tzura being the formless presence over the choymer. Tzura means the ruchnius, the form, and choymer means the material. His gabas atzura al choymer means the tzura overpowers and takes over the choymer, ba'oifen, so that she yechidah tzuras hanefesh. That the choymer will become a yechidah for the tzuras hanefesh. That's all what the choymer is about. Okay, and with this we will interrupt. Wake up, Tzaddik.
I need to sleep to wake up. You can just wake up.
What happened? You didn't sleep last night?
Well, I slept, whatever. You don't have to make a class out
Yeah.